Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to episode 74 of the Daily List Report. I'm really excited about today. Today is a milestone day for us. We've got a top YouTuber on joining us. Her name is Loida Velasquez. She's an agent, and she's going to talk to us about the success that she's found in social media, how she builds trust with her audience, and all kinds of really cool, interesting things. A lot of you have reached out to me and said you want to know more about how do you find content to create, right? What platforms should you use? How do you build relationships with your followers? And we've touched on some of those things, but we've got a real expert on here today to talk about that. So while you're here watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel. It's growing nicely. Really happy about how it's doing. Make sure you share the channel. Make sure you click the little bell so that you're notified. All right, so I'm about to bring on Loida. Before I do that, quick intro. She is an LA native. She's a top real estate agent on social media, a degree in marketing management. Property Shark named her a top 5 young agent to watch. She's the founder of an Instagram series called Wonder Women Wednesday, where she talks to women about beauty and lifestyle and entrepreneurship. Loida is extremely active on social media. She is an active YouTuber. I have her channel up right here. We will link to it in the comments. She has 56,000 subscribers, way more than we do. She has a lot of great content here, so make sure you subscribe to her channel. Check out the content that she's creating. We will also link to that in the show description. She's also very active on Instagram, 18,000 followers on Instagram, and has a wide-ranging type of content, some personal content, some content about her listings, and other types of things. So there's lots of great content here. So, as you think about how to build out your social media presence, I think that Loida is an amazing person to learn from. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Loida on right now. Loida, say hello to the agentpreneurs of ListReports.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be doing this with you, Randy, and thank you for that introduction. I don't think I've ever had someone be very specific and share all that about me, so I really appreciate that.
Oh, it's the least I can do. I appreciate you coming on the show and doing this for us and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. Loida, what I love to do is to give our guests an opportunity to spend a minute or two and give a little bit of your why, as we call it, a little bit of your background. Like, how did you get into real estate? How did social media become a thing for you? Just give our audience a chance to get to know you a little bit.
Yes. So before I got into real estate, and I got into real estate back in 2015, prior to that, I worked in marketing and advertising for about 8 years. I absolutely loved everything that I did. But at one of the last companies that I was working at, I was traveling 100% of the time,
Wow.
living out of a suitcase from hotel to hotel. And I remember I was at the Chicago Auto Show because one of our clients was in the automotive industry, and it was negative 30 degrees,
Oh my
and I would
gosh.
have to go outside. And at that point, I told myself, this is not something that I see myself doing for the rest of my life. And that's kind of when I started to look for other opportunities that would allow me to be closer to home and be more stable. I ended up working as a program manager for a very large corporate company, but that took me to the cubicle life, which I quickly realized that that was not for me. And I absolutely dreaded being there every single day. And I just started to look into real estate. I knew that it was something that was not going to be easy, and it was going to take a lot of hard work and dedication, not glamorous, but I saw the potential of what it would mean for me and my family and my lifestyle if I did stick to it and became successful. So long story short, December of 2015 is when I started to look into getting my courses, jumped into it, and here we are now.
That's amazing. Loida, it's such a common tale, isn't it, right? That real estate is such an empowering business, right? You can work a lot, you can work a little. There's no ceiling, right, in terms of your earnings potential. Like, it's such an amazing thing. I've talked to Loida, so many agents who got into the business with a similar story to yours, or some who have children with disabilities and they needed the flexibility. Like, it's the one thing about this industry that I love is that there's so much flexibility in terms of the kind of career you can have. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And what's funny is that at that last place where I was working at in the cubicle, I thought to myself that I wanted to continue to grow within that company. And I told myself, maybe in order for me to continue going up the corporate ladder, I need to get my master's.
Right.
So I went back to school to get my MBA. And when I saw that I wanted to get into real estate, I dropped out from the business school program.
Mm-hmm.
Because just like you mentioned, there are so many opportunities in real estate that it's all about the work that I put in. There is no max for how much I can make or who I have to report to. It's all based off of me and me holding myself accountable. So yeah, that's what I did.
That's amazing. So, Loida, clearly you have a background in marketing, right? So, when you first became an agent, did you just jump into YouTube and Instagram? Did you just jump into that stuff right away, or how did you get started down those channels?
Yeah. So even though I did do marketing and advertising, when I got into real estate, that was not the first thought in my mind.
Interesting.
Back when I got into real estate, my boyfriend, Brian Casella, who's also a top real estate agent, he had started to do videos on YouTube. And I remember back then, I would go on YouTube to see what it was like to be a real estate agent, to look at the live calls, prospecting. But I was never able to find many women talking about their experience.
Interesting.
So that was kind of what turned on the light bulb for me to want to start putting my journey out there so that other agents, especially newer agents, could see what it was like to be a real estate agent. So even before I got my license, I was already practicing my scripts, and I figured I'm just going to start filming. I was horrible back then. Obviously, it's not something that's very comfortable if you're not used to looking at a camera or putting yourself out there. But I told myself, if I'm putting out my journey, somebody is going to learn from it. And if it can help at least one person become better or gain confidence, that's ultimately my goal, which is to help others.
Absolutely. Loida, I was just looking up this quote. AJ, my co-founder, and I talked about this on Monday. It was a story from Inman, and it's talking about the new reality, right? And one of their points was you can't afford to be camera shy anymore. And they have this great thing. They said there are three great truths about on-camera work. Everyone thinks they look hideous on camera. Nobody else cares how you look on camera, and everyone's first videos are awful. And it's
Yeah,
so true, right? So many
exactly.
YouTubers I look at, they're like, look at my first video, and it's grainy, and it's like out of focus, and the audio is bad, right? But you just have to kind of get out there. So you just sort of jumped in, is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Loida, sorry, I messed up that point here, but here's what I wanted to ask you is one of the things that we talk about a lot on this show is finding your niche or your brand, like what you're going to be known for. And it sounds like, and I'd love for you to elaborate on this, that when you looked at YouTube, you said there aren't a lot of women here. And was that just in general, or was that women talking to women, or how did you sort of start to hone in and build your brand around that direction?
Yeah, I saw that there was not a lot of women talking about sales and real estate and prospecting, which in this industry, it can be very intimidating, especially for women. Now, when I got into the business, all I did was door knocking and cold calling. And most of the women that I have spoken to before, they're very intimidated and scared about picking up that phone because of fear of rejection, whether
Right.
it's women, men, whatever it is. So I saw that as an opportunity to empower and encourage others, not just women, to get out there and do something that was going to help them in their business. Because like the quote, there's a quote and a saying that you must do what other people don't want to do in order to get where you want to be.
Right.
So I knew that that was going to separate me from other agents doing the hard work, getting cussed out on the phone, getting
Yeah.
rejected, all of the no's, but eventually that would build thick skin and make me who I am today. And that's why I just decided to stick to that when I was creating content.
No, that's a really great point, right? So I love this idea that you you find gaps, right? You find opportunities, but I also believe, Loida, that those gaps that you find have to sort of be natural to you, right? In other words, you have to be able to be yourself as you fill those voids.
Yeah.
So not every void can be filled by any person. You have to find the intersection of the void that exists and something that comes naturally to you. Otherwise, I think it's really hard to build a brand.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it. I mean, for me and for anyone, I say you have to be authentic and genuine in whatever it is that you're doing or that you're saying. So for me, every single video that I have created has been intentional for me wanting to help someone else. Now,
Yeah.
when I started to create videos, my goal was not to become a YouTuber. I mean, I'm still a real estate agent, but I wanted to educate others because I wasn't finding a lot of the information that I was looking for. So if I'm able to narrow down, get the main information that helped me and put it out there to help others, it might happen that eventually I might have to work with another agent. And if they watch my videos, they know exactly how I work, how
Yeah.
things get done. And the less headaches that we have, the better it is for everyone.
I love that. I love that. You know, Loida, we call that at ListRapport value first, right? It was value
Mhm.
first. You saw a void and you said, I can be helpful, and you put that out there. That's why we started this show, was value first. We're like, this is a crazy time. Maybe we can say something or we can bring somebody on to give advice that's going to make someone else's life a little bit easier. And so value first is absolutely the key. I love that. I agree with that. Loida, when you think about the relationship that you have with your audience, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, any platform, it doesn't matter. How do you leverage these platforms to build trust with them? How do you think about the relationship that you have with your viewers or your followers?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, it's all about being genuine. And the way that you see me on my YouTube videos, that is exactly how I am in person. And
Right.
that's exactly how you want to be. Because many times I have met other YouTubers and people that create content, and it's like a completely different person when you meet them face to face. So you want to stay consistent and just be authentic in what you're putting out. That's how you start to build trust. Now, with me staying consistent and putting out videos, always giving value, eventually a lot more people started to share my videos, and that's how my audience started to grow on YouTube. From there, it started to transfer over to Instagram, and that's how I have grown that platform. And the way that I stay in communication with all of my followers, whether it's on social media or in person, is that I try to do things where they see that they have access to me. So for example, you mentioned earlier the Wonder Woman Wednesday, which is something that I do to feature other entrepreneurs, especially women, so that they can come in and share their experience for my audience, and they have access to that. They have access to my network. They see that I'm genuinely trying to help others by providing more valuable information and other people that can share their experience.
I love that. I think that's great. So what you said there, something interesting I just want to point out, right? Is you said that you kind of started on YouTube, right? And
Mhm.
you were able to leverage that to build up a stronger Instagram following. Is that right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
that's really interesting. So Loida, when you think about, we've got a lot of agents out there watching who don't have a YouTube channel, right? Maybe they have an Instagram account. And I've heard a lot of agents really struggle with, I don't know what content to create. I don't know where to start. Like, can you talk a little bit about your best advice for an agent who's saying, I know I need to be doing some of these things. I'm just not sure where to begin?
Yeah, so I would say sit down and write down a lot of different ideas that you think you might have. You have to first have to narrow down what type of videos you want to do. So for me, my target audience and the type of videos are for real estate agents. So I would say for anybody that's struggling thinking about what they want to do, figure out who you want to target. Is it going to be consumers? Is it going to be agents? Along with that, how do you want your videos? How do you picture them? Is it going to be like an interview style? Are they going to be vlogs? Are they going to be educational videos, trainings? You have to be very specific and try and figure out, and that's ultimately how you're going to see what best suits you or what you're most comfortable with doing.
That's interesting. So, Loida, when you thought about all of the types of videos you could create, now I know that what you said, your personal experience was you went to YouTube and there wasn't this
Yeah.
certain kind of content. But it's interesting, right, that you said your channel is really focused on agents, not consumers. So, how has that benefited your overall business? Has it helped with recruiting, or does it also help with your buyers and sellers? Like, what impact have you seen this has had on your business?
So the impact that I have seen is just because pretty much all of my audience are real estate agents, I get a lot of business from agents as referrals.
Oh,
So it's gotten to
interesting.
the point that I get maybe 2 or 3 referrals every single month, which is either buyers or sellers. And it facilitates me being able to work with these clients because now I'm being referred by someone that they trust. So they know that, okay, if John is referring Loida to me, she must be good. So we're just going to go with her. So
Right.
it narrows down and takes out my competition, if you could say that.
Yeah, you could definitely say that,
Yeah.
Loida. Absolutely. Well, that's really interesting, right? So this has led to referral business for you. For those watching, Loida, who really aren't comfortable on video. And again, I've said multiple times on this show that anybody can be good at it. You have to get over those fears and you just have to keep doing it, right? I've been talking into this camera long enough that now I'm used to it, but it took a little bit of time. But
Yeah.
what other types of content do you think someone who just really doesn't want to pursue video, what other ways do you think that they should be active on social media and what type of content should they think about creating?
Yeah. So if you don't want to be creating videos on YouTube, which I know is intimidating, you can start on Facebook or Instagram with the stories, which is like 15 seconds for right now. You can do a quick story. What you want to do is put your face to a name so that when people might see you, but they don't really know what you sound like or how you act or if they can relate to you. So stories or short clips on those two platforms is a great way to start. Ultimately, no one is perfect. They're not born and like turn on a camera and they're perfect in front of a video camera. You can take a look back at my very first videos, which I filmed the first 2 years on my iPhone 6. So it wasn't any fancy equipment. So you don't
Yep.
need any fancy equipment, which I know is also a thing that a lot of people think they need to have in order to do videos. Nowadays, your cell phone has high resolution, 1080. You can just film on your phone, upload it to any platform. And the beauty of it is that, especially for Instagram and Facebook, let's say you do record a short video, you can just record it on your phone and then upload that same video to the different platforms. So you don't have to continuously be recording the video, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Loida, I did a show last Friday. We're just talking about some of what I think are the fundamentals, right? Which is your why. Why are you doing this, right? How do you define your brand, right? And sort of what your niche or your focus is going to be. But a big one that I put on there, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, is what I just called commit, right? Which is this doesn't happen overnight. And so whether that's a video a week for a year or a video a day for 100 days, whatever it is, you have to sort of commit and then evaluate, right? And see if this is something that you want to keep doing. So when you started your channel, did you just were you all in or were you like I'm going to do a video a week or a video a month or how did you think about the commitment that you were going to make to trying out that channel?
Yeah, the commitment that I made was to put out a video every single week. And I knew that it wasn't going to happen overnight, that I was just going to start to gain a following. In fact, when I started to put out videos, I didn't even think about it. I just put it out there. Occasionally, I would check on YouTube. And I remember specifically being in the car one time and I had 14 subscribers. And I thought, oh my goodness, I have 14 people that are actually
Yes.
subscribed to my channel. So it just happens. The main thing is for you to be authentic in the value that you're creating and actually want to do it, not for likes, not for the following, because first is the quality of the content, and then people will start to realize, okay, Loida puts out good videos. It might not be the best quality because of her camera, but everything she says makes sense, and
Yeah.
she's putting out a video every single week. So now you're programming your audience to continue to come back. So that's what you have to be consistent, even if you're not seeing the results that you want of the views or the following, but eventually it'll start to happen.
Yeah, I think that's true. How long did it take for you to see some real growth in the channel? How long did it take? You've been doing this for years now.
Yeah, so the very first year, so I started putting out videos every single week. I think within the first year, I got close to 2,000 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened maybe after 6 months that I slowly started to get subscribers here and there, but also the type of content that I was putting out, I noticed was resonating with a lot of people. So one of the first videos was how I passed my real estate license exam, which I know that that is
That's a
something
great
that a
one.
lot of people want to know. I also did my very first live for sale by owner call. The very first one, I filmed it. I was horrible. It's on there as well because I know people love to see and what the anticipation is of what's going to happen in the call. So that started to gain me a lot of traction with subscribers. So the type of I was putting out was helping me in growing that audience in the beginning.
That's fantastic. I think that's great. And that's the real lesson here, right? Is that for content like this, it is a long commitment. You have to do this for a long time. It doesn't happen overnight. And one of the things that I talked about on yesterday's show with Raj Shiva, who's on our team, but he's also an agent, is you have to regularly be in front of people, right? The conversion for an agent on a past customer who 7, 8, 9 years later, right, is going to buy again is terrible, right? Because it's hard to stay top of mind. So when you think about social, Loida, are you thinking about making sure that that they remember your face and your name, right? That you're sort of
Yes.
with them wherever they might be.
Yes, exactly. I want to position myself in a way that if anyone thinks about real estate in Southern California, they think of Loida, who's on YouTube. Or if I'm
Right.
going out to a listing presentation, and it has happened many times, nowadays, I feel that anybody Googles you before they even meet with you. So by the time I do meet with them, they tell me, you know what, we did take a look at your videos and we see that you're an expert in the field. So we're very comfortable with what you have to say because you're the professional. So it just gives me an edge over someone that might not have a social presence. And something that I do want to mention, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are thinking, well, there's already so many agents creating the type of videos that I want to make.
Yeah.
The thing is that not everyone relates to that same person. So you, Randy, can make the same type of videos that I make, and perhaps someone might like you more than they like me. So they're going to watch you, even though it's the same information.
It's a really good
So it's
point.
best not get discouraged if you think that way and just start putting out the content because someone is going to relate to you and they're going to like you more than another person doing videos.
Loida, that's actually a really good point, right? And it's in a sense it's obvious, right? Like we resonate differently with different people. And like you said, you might
Mhm.
like someone's style, someone's a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more
Yeah.
whatever the things are, right? That's a really good point. Don't be discouraged if you see that this content already exists. You can put your own spin on it. You have your own personality and YouTube really empowers people to find YouTubers that resonate with them, right? That they connect with on some level. So I think that's actually a really
Yeah.
great point, Loida. I like that. Loida, as we wrap up here today, do you have any kind of parting words of wisdom for our agents out there in terms of how to think about the return and the power of social and the commitment that's involved? Anything at all that you want to share with our agents as we wrap up?
Yeah, I feel that now, especially because of the pandemic, a great way to get connected with buyers, sellers, or whoever it is through video. From experience, I still do a lot of cold calling, especially to expireds. And the results that I have seen are that whenever I do talk to a lead and I send them a video through text message introducing myself, it increases the chances of them actually wanting to meet with me.
Yeah.
So whether if you're watching, if maybe you don't want to start a YouTube channel, start by incorporating video to your lead follow-up because that's how you're going to stand out. So last week, that's exactly what happened. I sent a gentleman a video introducing myself. Initially in our call, he told me, call me back in 2 months because I'll be ready to put the home back on the market then. I sent him the video, I sent him some information, and he said, you know what, actually, let's talk next week to see how you can help me sell my units out in LA. So you can just start by doing that. Videos with your follow up with your real estate business. And then once you start to feel more comfortable, you're going to see that, it's not that bad when I'm actually getting deals and making money by doing a video that only takes a few seconds.
It's
So
so true.
yes.
Loda, it's at the end of the day, you're right, right? Like you have to, all of you listening have to find a way to get more comfortable, if not very comfortable, with video. And Lloyd, to your point, that could be an Instagram story. It could be very
Mhm.
quick. You just hold up the phone. You talk about the market, maybe talk about some new construction or neighborhood or a listing or whatever it might be. And then you can graduate from there, right, to doing longer form content if you want. And the longer form
Yeah.
content, as you pointed out, Loida, may not be for you, and that's okay. But you could leverage and BombBomb is a tool. I don't know if that's what you use. That's a great tool for sending video messaging, but it is a great way, especially during these challenging times where you don't have the same face-to-face opportunities in an open house or whatever, to be able to make sure that people get a sense of who you are. So I think that's great, Loida.
Yes.
You know, Loida, sorry, one more point that you mentioned, I just want to touch on this briefly, is you said just a moment ago, right, that people are Googling you, right, before they meet you. And it's so true. Tuesday's show was with Herman Chan. You should watch that episode. He's a top agent in San Francisco, over $600 million in sales. He's tremendous. But we talked about the same thing. And the tip that he gave was to set up a Google alert for your name. Because what he found was that there were reviews that were happening that he wasn't aware of, but you can set up a Google alert. It's really easy to do. You can Google how to do that.
Yeah.
But you have to assume that everybody is looking you up on the internet before they meet you. So do that yourself. If you haven't Googled your own name, then you don't know what people are seeing, and you don't know if there are reviews or sites out there that you need to be more relevant on, or make sure that your privacy settings are correct, whether they're on or off or whatever. Make sure that you Google yourself. So I think that's something that's really handy, right, Loida?
Yes, definitely.
All right, Loida. Well, this has been tremendous. I mean, really excited to talk to you. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and wisdom and advice. Obviously, you've been very successful at this, and I love everything that you had to say, and I'm sure that our audience is going to eat this up.
Yes, thank you for having me, Randy.
I hope we can chat with you again soon, Loida. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Bye.
So there you have it. Really great conversation with Loida. Again, I'm bringing up her YouTube channel right here, Loida Velasquez. We'll link to that again in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. Take a look at the kind of content she's created. I think really tremendous advice, frankly, that just because someone else has created that content doesn't mean that you can't. YouTube and these channels are about finding your audience, about finding people that are going to resonate with you. And the first step, in my opinion, of that is finding what your niche is. What is your brand? Who are you? Are you the local market expert? We had a guest on a couple months ago who's a former pro surfer. And so that was his angle. Like the surfer crowd was just his group. Mark Choey was on the show, and when he was building his brand, he literally moved into a condo complex in San Francisco and only sold units in that building, and he became the #2 condo salesperson in all of San Francisco. So there's a level of focus. You have to be known for something, or you're not going to be known for anything. And I think that we can learn a lot from Loida. So until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy, and we'll see you soon. Bye.